Welcome back to another podcast, to another Mark and Ray Good Vibe. And, the last time we were here, which was actually the first episode we did, we had an in-depth conversation about relationships. So we're just continuing on the whole vibe today on relationship. As you know, Good Vibe is a podcast that we just take life. We're not journalists, by the way. We just talk about stuff that everyday people talk about. But of course, we're doing it in the context of the Caribbean American culture, lifestyle, and entertainment. You can expect sometimes weekly guests. Sometimes it's just me, Mark, and myself just vibing on some cool issues. So make sure you subscribe, like our page on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, share this content, and share it with your friends. And what we're talking about today, Mark?
Wow, it's loaded. First, welcoming back our guest,
Tiesha.
Tiesha, and she's actually she has been great, man, so far. I mean, the first one she killed it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons we asked her to come back.
And she graced us with her presence again.
Again.
Today we're talking about embracing your true self. It's a loaded one. This is a loaded one here. And basically what we mean about this, it goes back to, for me, I think, people being happy with themselves and being able to look in the mirror and see themselves and like themselves and love themselves. And a perfect example is, you go to a club, you come home and, you've met somebody and the next day you go, this has actually happened to me, you go meet that person and they look nothing like what you've seen the night previously. And,
First describe that. How was that for you?
How was that for me?
Yes.
Well, personally, it was like I met this young lady. This is many years ago. We were dancing in the club, and we exchanged numbers, and we said we will link up the next day. And went. I drove about 30 miles to go meet her. I knocked on the door, and I asked for the young lady. And when I knocked on the door and asked her, she was like, "No, that's me." And I was like, "You almost like stop playing." I was like, "Where's so and so?" She said, "No, that's me." She took off the hair, the weave stuff, and the makeup was gone, and the body was still there, but everything else was
all the other effects were not there.
Yeah, it was things. So it was one of those things. But I took the trip. I made 30 miles, so I wasn't.
So you were invested.
I was invested, so I had to see it through. But I felt cheated. I did.
Wait, so at that point, did you walk away and go back home? Or
No, I didn't, because that particular incident wasn't as bad as some others where you have the augmented features and other things like that
I like the way you're putting it in such augmented features.
Fake boobs.
You mean fake boobs, fake butt?
Yeah, but
you mean alterations like those?
Everything enhancements are good. But it's when you're dependent on those, when you're looking for those to validate yourself for.
Wait, so you're okay with fake boobs and fake butts?
I think, again, for everyone, sometimes there's different circumstances. It could be cancer, it could be, someone's fighting some type of illness and they've had to.
That I think is
so
understandable.
There's a time and place for everything. But, I've dealt with women where I've never seen their real hair. That is a common one. They've never taken off. I mean, they hold on to the weave as a
symbol of their beauty.
And it's just like you could, if you don't. I mean, something can happen, a hurricane, or anything. They're not losing that weave. And those are the things that it goes back to I was talking about earlier, where there was a movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and there's a dating scene, and the lady comes and they're home and they're getting ready to do it in the bed, and she starts taking off everything. She starts taking off her fake breast. She takes off a twist off her leg. She had prosthesis on. It was just, and she was like, "Don't make me hop after you." It was one of those things, and there's a lot of women like that.
Yeah, but one of the things that you mentioned is that you want the young lady to be happy with who she sees in the mirror.
Yeah.
Well, if she isn't happy with who she sees and she feels like she needs to add a little bit of makeup or eyelashes or weave, then as long as that makes her happy, what's wrong with that?
Now, I'm not against those things. I'm just saying where those things, where you're depending on those things. Like, you
can't leave the house
they
without
can't leave the house without it, and, no makeup, they can't go out. No, whatever it is, they just can't exist.
Well, I think that women have a lot to live up to. You see it a lot on the magazines. Just everyday reality, it's tough for us. Okay? You guys don't make it easy either. We see all of these posts where guys are bashing women about their lashes, about their weaves, about being natural, and so on. So, so I think that, having said that, it's like you can't get it perfect. I'm lazy when it comes to dressing myself up a lot of the time. So at most, you might see me with foundation, which I'm not wearing right now, lipstick, eyeliner, eyelashes, some brow powder. But for me, that's usually my max, because when it comes to makeup, that's not really my thing, and I haven't really learned how to do that yet. But for other people who have taken the time to learn how to do that, I think that a lot of the time, makeup enhances people's features. I will say that. Now, for those times when you do see the before and after shockers on social media, where someone goes to like 0 to like a level 10.
Witchcraft. I've seen it. I've seen it.
I think that is very deceptive.
Yeah. It's false advertising.
I'm with you on that.
I mean, listen, on the flip side of that,
but
if you met a guy, right, and we're driving a fancy car, and we live in this big house, and you're under the assumption that all of these things belong to me,
right? And
all of a sudden you realize that that's not mine, and none of these things are mine. So
then I'm out.
So where does that place you? Don't you have that empty feeling like, wait a minute, I thought this is who I was signing up for?
Gold digger.
No, here's the thing, because I've been in a situation like that before, where this guy told me he was a doctor and he did this and X, Y, and Z. We were going to go on some fancy trip to Africa and all of this. Come to find out, to this day, I don't know if he's really a doctor. All right, the trip to Africa, me, it never happened. I don't know if he ever went, but in the end, I just felt like the whole thing was a lie. And I said, definitely, if he had not told me that he was a doctor, he wouldn't have gotten me. Not just because I'm a gold digger, because I have my own money, I make my own money, but it was that he wasn't that too pleasing to begin with. He wasn't easy on the eye to begin with. So that's why
he did it. So he had to embellish. He knows he's not easy on the eye, and he knows women like men who are secured, or they have a secured appearing lifestyle, right? So whether or not it's the career or the assets, it needs to be in full display. So women love that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm saying all women are like that, but that is normally the caveat to what goes to the... So he's just masking it until he does it real. What's wrong with that?
I mean, first of all, it's lying, because he wouldn't have gotten me. Okay?
So the doctor part is probably a little bit too a stretch.
That was a stretch. And he said he was...
So let's take it even to the next step. You're into fitness, you work out and everything else. If you see a guy, he's got a sweatshirt on and everything, he looks diesel. Like he's diesel, he's got the muscles and everything, the stomach looks ripped, but he comes home, he takes off the male Spanx, and this comes out.
Wait. But first, if I see someone who looks like he is, just cut, the first thing I'm going to say is, all right, you look like you're working with something. Let me see you with your shirt off. Right then and there, I don't mind telling somebody to take their shirt off. So I want to find out, because I have to touch it and know that it's real.
Yeah, but
first,
in the age
before
of
we
Me Too,
get
we
home.
can't do that. We can't go up, so we're at a disadvantage.
Well,
you mean the guy can't just
we
touch?
Can't do that to the women. So we're so it's a different.
Turn around, let me grab that ass. Let me see if it's real.
Well, then you are at a bit of a disadvantage. But no, I understand where you guys are coming from, because even as a woman, when I see other women with the makeup, the hair, the fake weave, it's kind of like, in a sense, I'm not competing with anyone except myself. But in the dating field, okay, if I were single, I would be competing, right? in that sense. So I think it's unfair that they do portray themselves as being something other than they're not. But at the same time, if I really wanted to, I could do the same thing and lie or be a bit deceptive too. So it does make it harder when it comes to the competition out there.
To wrap this up, are you saying that you're thinking the person can be all of that you don't like, but as long as they allow their real side to be shown sometimes, you'll be fine with it? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I absolutely.
So you don't mind her taking off her tits and taking off her ass?
No, like I said,
and you realize it's flat chest, you realize there's no
ass.
And you can work with that.
I can work with that.
But when
I can work with...
I don't know.
No. Listen, I'm being truthful. I can work with that. My thing is, listen.
Really?
It comes down to the mindset. If they're confident, like I said, people feel like, especially for women, if they don't have the long hair, that they feel like, they're not, I don't know what standard is that they hold themselves up to, but that's not. I can look at a woman that has a very low cut and find that beauty inside her. And to me, it's inspiring to see sometimes these women have this glow about them, because they'll rock that short haircut and the confidence level is sky high. And to me, that's a thing of beauty. That beats out any long weave or anything that somebody else will hear. I appreciate that.
But only now is it really, I would say maybe within the past 5 to 10 years has natural really been a thing that has been celebrated. Because I've talked to my guy friends before, going on interviews, and they've said, yo, you need to straighten your hair, or you need to pull it back and put it in a bun. And it was tough for me to accept that, but it was like, what do? I want this job, and these are my guy friends who are close to me, whose opinions I value. So then I felt like I had to do that. But I understand a little bit what you're saying, but I think one key point that you're missing is that the reason that a lot of these women are wearing makeup and the lashes and the weaves is because they don't feel confident without it.
That's
and I
true.
think that's the bottom line, because
So, 3-inch lashes gives you the confidence.
Listen,
Of course.
listen.
She's looking at Instagram. She's looking at all these books.
It's trending.
Lashes
I think
are
those
in.
things are trending.
Yeah,
She's looking at
lashes are in.
social media. She's looking at all these marketed publications. She's seeing it on TV. She's seeing it in film. I'm not saying, like T's saying, is recently you kind of seen, especially on the pro-Afro side, you see a lot of women embracing their real self, both in terms of their physical look and their hair and all of that. But that is still only a marketing trend. It's still not the average. The average is all of this. Yeah, it's still all of these
Straight
package.
hair. Yeah. It's
For me
Package
personally,
lifestyle.
I'm with a woman and she has those things. I'm hiding the weave every now and then. She's not going to be able to find it. The lashes, just about every day, I'm going to hide those.
I think, and I think too, for a lot of people, man, truth is an ideal we aspire for.
Yeah.
But a lot of us are not equipped to really embrace what that comes with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we talk about organic woman or organic male discussing the opposite sex, discussing the issue, there's an idealism that is thrown in there to kind of make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
But the truth is that, man, most people are not willing to be real like that. They want it the way they want it. They want it the way they perceive it to be real. And if it's not at that standard, then I'm not interested. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because all the other stuff we could sit here and talk about, it takes time for you to get to those places.
Yeah.
And time is not defined in any specific way, meaning 2 weeks or 3 months. It could be a year, because you have to weigh all the variables in there too. How often do you see this person? Is it a situation where this person might live, say, in Orlando, and you're here in Miami? You're communicating on phone a lot. You build a rapport in terms of on the phone, but in person, you don't spend enough time for you to see the real side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think it's. I know where you're coming from in general, but I think when people talk, there is so much aspirations being discussed that they're not willing to do what it takes to accept realism. You know what I mean?
And would you, if that girl or that woman did not have all of the things on to make her look attractive, would you even still approach her? You know, would
Right,
you give
probably
her
no.
a second look?
I probably would.
You probably would, but a
Nah,
lot
I'd
of
probably
guys
say
would
no.
not see her as being attractive. I think that's the bottom line, and that's the reason that women
They will
do it.
look
They want
past
to
her.
be
We'll
right.
look past her initially.
They want to be deemed attractive.
Because men in general, what we see is what appeals to us, and then we get to the different stages in the relationship. You know, we get to know the person,
Right.
then the physical, extroverted thing. Not that it's not important, but it's not predicated on that. So you're not going to walk into the club and see a woman that wouldn't attract you in a normal sense, and you go, "Hey, what's up? You want to buy you a drink?" You just ain't going to do that.
Physical attraction matters.
It does. I'm not.
But
I'm
the
not
physical
gonna-
matters, but it's not what keeps a
It
relationship.
does.
Right,
It
I
doesn't.
agree.
Right. But that's what she said.
But in order to get to that point, you're judging first.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, there's a difference between, like I said, enhancing and those things being a crutch, where you cannot survive on a day-to-day basis without those things.
All right. Well, on that note, man, tell you, on that note, we're going to wrap that up.
right.
We'll pick it up on some other time. In the meantime, though, if you're watching this podcast, make sure, guys, you go out. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you, of course, like us on Instagram. And make sure you hit that bell on YouTube, because that bell really, the notification bell, so you can get more update on Mark Ray Good Vibe. See you next week.